I really want to talk about how great it is to be different and how we should all be embracing that. And I figured it's funny because I picked out this shirt and I feel like this is perfect, right? Every time I wear this shirt, I just feel like I'm like who am I? I'm just wearing like the most fun thing ever. I this is like my personality, right? So I've got like my pink shorts on, right? That I wear all the time. And I like color. Color is fun. And I used to really like color and to really express myself when I was really young. And moving into middle school, high school, that it just got drained from me. And I that's what I'm talking about here today. Because when you start to fall in line and do what society is expecting of you, you're not going to end up very happy. Okay? In my experience, that is true. And so, yeah, talking today about being different. And so yeah, growing up, and I think that that's like it's a very normal thing, right? I think that our parents, our teachers, everybody who's caring for us, raising us, they 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 believe that it is important to really adhere to societal expectations as much as possible. And they want to protect you, right? That is where it's safe, right? The ego really wants to be safe. It wants to be protected. It does not want to be vulnerable. And being different is it makes it feel vulnerable. And if you could just fit in, if you could just act like everybody else, then you'll be okay. But we didn't come here to earth to be sheep, okay? Now, we could have known coming here that this was going to happen, right? We know who our parents are going to be. We know who our friends are going to be. We know what our family is going to be like. We know the environment that we're growing up in. We know what schools we're going to be going to, what friends we're probably going to meet. So it's to be expected. But then there's this awakening, this realization of, oh, this doesn't feel right. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm sharing, because I went through this experience and I realized that, oh my God, yeah, what was I thinking? And the problem was I wasn't thinking for myself. I was just going with the flow, taking the path of least resistance, doing what was expected of me. And it led me into a career and a job that it was doing nothing for me. But there's that pressure when you to go to school and then to apply for college or to get a job. And then it's like you're expected when you're like 18 to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. That's just crazy. I mean, that's insane. I've always thought that was crazy. When I was like 17 and it's like, hey, you should have already applied for schools. Then when you're going to college, like you should know what you want to do. You've got to get your degree. You've got to pick, right? What's your major? You're like, I'm 20 years old. What how could I have no life experience to make this decision, right? Not adequately, right? And so yeah, I think I have a lot of respect for people that are going to college. I went to community college. I have a lot of respect for people that are going to college and they're like in their 40s, 50s, like maybe older. And they're like, I finally know what I want to do and I need a degree for it. That's why I'm here. Because I definitely do not believe that we need to go to school, we need to get a degree and just anything so that we'll be taken care of. I'm like, been there, done that, like for me, it's it's one thing if you need the degree for the career that you've chosen. That makes sense. But don't just get one to get one, right? Well, in my experience. That's not what I was planning on talking about today, but I guess it's kind of where we ended up a little bit, is in the world of academia. And I think it is fitting because the world of academia really they want to make everybody the same. They want to teach everybody the same. They want everybody to be on the same path, right? And for me, I always had such a hard time fitting into it. I had such a hard time taking tests. Um, and I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, but that was not the environment. And so I've come to realize that, like, being different is what we truly want, but here on earth, the programming is the opposite, and it's to be the same, to fall in line. And I think the reason why that is because if we look at our authorities of the world, the experts of the world, the governments of the world, the leaders of the world, the ones that we see all the time in the news and in the media, making all of the decisions and the laws, they want us to not be too different. Don't think too much for yourself, right? Creativity is kind of threatening. Um, Again, this is my own perception of the world, and as always, I encourage you to have your own takeaways. And I think part of the reason why I'm here and I'm showing up is to help people start to see things differently in their own worlds, right? What is the world that you have created? What has been your life experience leading up to this point? What have you bought into, right? What do you believe, and where has that led you? You know, do you really like your life? Because you can create a life that you really enjoy, and you can fill it with people that you just absolutely love and have so much fun with. But you have to you have to kind of release all of the stuff that you don't want. And that's the hard part about it. That's what we all have such a hard time doing in life and growing up. And so that's being different. That's being different. I wrote down in my notes that one way that I was thinking about it is, it's almost like you're deciding that you're gonna allow yourself to feel scared temporarily. But it's either that temporary fear, or it's kind of like that forever being miserable. Because if you never change your life, you always do what is expected of you, you're not going to end up with a life that you really love. Because that's not how things are set up here. I'm sure that there are some exceptions out there, but I think if you're watching, you're probably falling into that. But maybe you've already kind of figured this out for yourself, in which case I'm not really teaching you anything new. So yeah, I think that being unique, being different, I think this is our right. I think that it's an inherent thing that we have as souls coming here to earth. And yeah, so one thing that I've kind of talked about is authority, right? So the governments of the world today, They have achieved total surveillance over us. So we're born and we have a social security number attached to us, to our being, our person, right? Our ego identity. And through like your bank activity, your taxes, phone calls, texts, messages, we're tracked. But nobody really talks about that much. If you search into it, you'll see it. And then all of a sudden that'll be like your algorithm. And you'll see all kinds of ways of, getting out of surveillance and trying to escape it. And, for me, I'm not that. There was a moment where I was like, oh, this is such a big deal, like I don't want to bring my phone anywhere because it's like it's always being tracked. But for me, the reason why I wanted to kind of throw that in here, because I'm not sure how used to you are, or how used to thinking about this you are. But it comes back to this idea of control, right? And not needing to ask our permission to control us. It's just kind of expected because humans tend to be very predictable, right? And we think that we know more than we actually do. And it's that kind of false sense of knowledge and confidence that can kind of keep you trapped. But you're maybe, yeah, still not feeling that great about your life and not really fulfilled. And so I hadn't really thought about the full extent of this until somewhat recently, but yeah, I don't think that most people are really thinking twice about it. And I think that that's fine. That's okay. But for me, it's my personality to really want to understand what's going on because I used to be more of just wanting to just do what I felt was right. And I encourage that still. But I've always kind of had this part of me that's always just been really curious about, okay, but why is that? Really trying to comprehend the depth of what is actually occurring. And I think that I introduced the surveillance piece because what's amazing is how a lot of people think they have so much freedom, but they actually don't have that much freedom because there's so many rules and laws. And I'm not saying, hey, like be different, don't follow the rules and break the laws. We have to follow the laws because that's kind of like the rules of the game, right? They were already here when we came. Those are kind of like the rules that we're playing by. And we can still be totally fulfilled and be playing by the rules, but we don't have to do everything that's expected of us. And what I'm coming back to, it's the social norms and it's the socially acceptable behavior, right? And so we don't, I think just understanding that we don't fully know what is going on, especially if we're paying attention to the big media of the world, because they're showing us what has been kind of strategized to show us, right? We're only hearing about things that are following that agenda and that a certain narrative of the day. Because if we knew what was actually going on and who we actually were, things would be very different. And so it's this embracing of you being different that I believe will lead us back into our power and that's the opposite of what the intention is, which is to keep us small, weak, and ignorant. And I don't say that lightly at all. I really do believe that. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think that they really feel beaten down. And I think it's a very chaotic and confusing world for them. And so yeah, I'm here to encourage you to embrace who you really are and to never stop questioning why things are the way that they are. I don't think that enough people are really wondering that. Maybe it's my own personal bias though, because like I said, I mean, it's part of my personality. My mom calls me I'm the scientist. You know, I've always wanted to know why things are the way that they are. I was like a little child philosopher, you know, really trying to understand the meaning of life. You know, I'm like 4 years old. But I think I came in and I just realized I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And it can just it just it's a very difficult place to grow up in if you are trying to fit in with the majority. That's what makes it difficult. And so again, I'm a firm believer and I can attest to it. You can create your own world and it's a shared world, but it's like it's your own bubble and you don't have to pay attention to the stuff that doesn't feel good, right? You can just lean into all the things that you're passionate about and excited about. A couple weeks ago, I Googled, okay, what is the definition of passion? And it was just the most ridiculous thing you have ever heard of. I'm going to pull it up. Strong and barely controllable emotion or the suffering and death of Jesus. That's all you got. You got two options for passion. You want to follow your passion in life and you're like a young kid and you want to look it up. Oh man, it's like the life from your soul has just been drained. You're like, this sounds terrible. I don't want to follow my passion. This is what I'm talking about, okay? This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's following your excitement and it is following your passion. Whatever the mainstream is saying, hey, this is what you should be doing. For whether it's your mental health or it's what your diet is. I'm a recovering vegan, okay? Oh, go plant-based. Oh yeah, that works out great. You know, I was plant-based for 14 years and I got through it, but yeah, and then I was enlightened to the greater agenda that is most likely the culprit to this great idea of not consuming the animal products that your genetics really require to thrive and be its healthiest. I'll do a video on that topic in the future, but today is not the day. Okay, so bringing it back. This is our life, and we want to get the most of it, right? We want to live a really happy life, and I firmly believe that at the end of our life, the only thing that we're going to have regrets about is were we true to our values, right? Where could we have done better with relationships, with situations, with the major decisions of our lives? Because we all have choice, and we're making choice every single day to either do something different or to continue doing the same thing, right? It is always choice. You always have a choice. And all of this disappears at the end of our lives. None of it really exists. It's all just experience, right? And it's all to learn and grow from. So, like, is this it? Is this our only life? Well, I really don't believe so. No. And so I don't have FOMO. I don't need to be like scrambling and doing all the things all the time. For me, I want to be strong. I want to be following my excitement and my passion. And for me, I'm following the see something, say something at the airport kind of of an approach here, right? I'm seeing what's happening in the world. So, well, now I'm saying something because if I didn't, then yeah, I might have some regrets about that. No, I definitely would because I knew. And to be afraid to say something, to be afraid to put myself out there, to be afraid of, I don't know, being rejected. It's like that is not good enough, not at the soul level, because this is just an experience. None of this is real. To the ego, it is very real. The ego feels that fear, and that emotion is so convincing. It's convincingly real, but it isn't actually real. It's all just an illusion. So, questions to ask yourself from my notes. What kind of world are you creating for yourself right now? What kind of world have you been creating for yourself? What kind of world do you want to create for yourself moving forward, right? You don't have to keep doing what you've been doing. You get to change. You are the one who is actually in control. What beliefs about others are you holding? Where in your life can you release what is no longer serving you? Because I think that there's a lot of things that can accumulate that maybe we were being nice and we took it on, or we were just going with the flow and it was the easy thing, being complacent. What's not serving you? What is not good for you? What do you just not want to do? What is stopping you from cutting that loose, right? Final question. How can you be a little more of yourself right now in your life? What areas of your life are you holding yourself back, that you're afraid to just be? And for me, that's the vulnerability is, oh, people are not going to like this about me, so I don't want them to see it. And I think that's so human, and I think that's to be expected. But this is the opportunity. What you can gain from that experience is huge, and you will feel so great. Nobody has ever regretted following their heart, their inner guidance, their intuition, because that's what felt was like the right thing to do. Nobody's ever regretted that. So being different is more than okay. It's the key to our happiness. And once again, it's the ego that wants to keep us safe, protected, in line, wants to keep us with the group, right? That's the conditioning. The ego lives and dies in this lifetime. The ego does not continue on. So being vulnerable, allowing yourself to not always have to do what's expected of you, and to release any attachments that you might have on continuing to live parts of your life that you don't want, and to just release those. There's another really cool thing that happens here when you're being yourself, when you're being the unique version of you. And that is, by doing so, others will see that. Others will view it as an opportunity that they can take for themselves. it gives them permission to have the same thing. So if you're not already there, maybe I can give you a piece of that. And you can take that piece and you can start to manifest it in your life. And before you know it, you could be doing the same for other people, because the ripple effect, it's very real. All of our actions and decisions, they affect everybody. They affect the collective. They can't not. Every action has a reaction. That's just how it works. And so I hope that I'm able to inspire you to make some changes in your life if you haven't already, because those changes that you make in your life, that's what really matters. That's what I really care about, because that's what's going to change everything. Could you imagine a world where everybody is free to be themselves, and where people are not afraid and are able to create the world that they want, and they don't feel like they need to buy into all of the noise that's been created and served on a platter? I think that would be pretty amazing. And I also think that life is a lot more fun when you're being yourself. I think that there's a lot of people who are, maybe not a lot, but there's always those people that are having such a great time, and they don't care what other people think, and they're unapologetic, and they've just released that. They've decided, like, they don't need somebody to report back to impress, right? They're doing it for themselves. And I think that's so special. And those really are, like, those are the unicorns, and those are the people that have had an impact on me over the years, is seeing that and just thinking, because when I was young and growing up, I very much cared about what people thought of me. And I was a very judgmental person. Because I was such a judgmental person, and I always just thought that my way of doing things was the right way, and being in my self-righteousness, I was afraid that people were going to judge me the same way I was judging them. How people act really says a lot about how they're feeling internally, okay? And hopefully this can kind of plant the seed and lead to a future that is you just being more of yourself, right? Because everybody benefits from that. And we all want that for ourselves. We're just looking for the examples and the role models. So embracing your authenticity will lead you to your own definition of success. And it's very important that we all create our own definition of success. Being aware of what the ego desires are. What does the ego want in life? It wants to be popular, and it wants to be rich, right? From a very general standpoint. But there's no meaning in that, right? It's like the old expression, money can't buy happiness, and it never will be able to. So you can live a life full of meaning, full of purpose. You can create this ripple effect of change in the world just by being yourself. You don't even have to do anything else. All you ever have to do is work on yourself. And that's what I encourage you today. So that's my message for today. And I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want, you can leave me a comment and let me know that you enjoyed it. And I will See you next time.